here we go. Let's take a look at 12 of the top new features on the iPhone 14 Pro. First up is some exclusive wallpapers slash lock screens. Apple has redesigned the lock screen for the iPhone with iOS 16, but iPhone 14 Pro users have a few exclusive wallpapers and lock screens to call their own. By going in and editing, you can see this collection here, which comes in 4 different colors. You have space black, silver, gold, and deep purple, mimicking the 4 colors that the iPhone 14 is available in. The next new feature, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this a lot in many other videos, is the Dynamic Island. This is the redesigned True Depth camera system that is more than 30% smaller, giving you more screen real estate for all of your content, as well as a host of new features. This dynamic island is able to change shape like liquid, expanding and contracting based on how you use it. It can show the status of things, can show you background features of third-party applications, live sports scores. It can tell you when you're recording something, when screen recording, when your AirPods connect, when the battery is charging, and so many more things. We will definitely continue to talk about the dynamic island on the iPhone 14 Pro. Then we have the Startup Chime. The Startup Chime is available on the iPhone 14 series. If you head into Settings, Accessibility, Audio-Visual, and turn on and off sounds and toggle that on, you'll be able to get a chime, just like on your Mac, on your iPhone, whenever it's turned off or back on. Here's what it sounds like. Number 4 on the list is the A16 Bionic processor. The new A16 Bionic processor has a faster 6-core CPU than the A15 Bionic processor, has 50% more memory bandwidth, has a new display controller for that always-on display, and an improved image signal processor for camera features and improved low light performance. Overall, it's just faster and better than the prior generation version. We can see this using the phone as well as the camera improvements and in the actual benchmarks in both the Antutu and Geekbench. The 5th top new feature is that always on display. The new always on display is always on. You set your phone down, set it on the charger, and that display will automatically dim, giving you your time and your widgets always visible. It can change how the background appears as well, depending on what your background is. Some of the Apple default collections will just dim themselves to be darker. Some will change the colors on them, like these stripes here. It turns into a black background instead of a lighter colored background. And others, like a photo that you took, can just dim and be less bright and take up less energy when it's actually on the screen. Hey, before we get too far into this, I have to thank my sponsor for this video and one of my all-time favorite case manufacturers for years, Alto. Alto has an entire lineup of incredible leather cases for all of Apple's latest iPhones. All of Alto's cases use incredibly high-quality Italian aniline dyed leathers that fit your iPhone like a glove, and frankly, feel like they have better leather quality than Apple's own cases. Some cases have built-in pockets on the back, perfect for storing your cards. You can store several cards in the back of your iPhone case and always have them with you without having to worry about a detachable wallet or an external wallet to bring along for the ride. If you'd prefer a smooth back case, don't worry, Alto now supports MagSafe, a big addition over their iPhone 13 cases that did not have MagSafe. I am so excited that MagSafe is now built in. It's just one of many little touches that stand Alto's cases apart from the rest. I also love the metal accents on the side. They use anodized aluminum buttons the same way Apple does with their cases. They fit your iPhone so well, protect all of the sides. There's a raised edge around the camera bump. Alto's cases come in several different styles, including plain back, MagSafe support, the pocket, as well as a lanyard version. If you want to check out any of these, visit Alto's website. It is linked down below in the description. Thank you again to Alto for sponsoring this video. Coming in at number 6 is 2 times optical quality zoom. Apple still only has 3 cameras on the back of the iPhone 14 Pro, but different this year is the fact there are 4 different zoom levels that you can choose from. There is 0.5 times optical zoom, which will correspond to the ultra wide angle lens. There's your 1 times optical zoom, which is your standard wide angle lens. Then there's your 3 times optical zoom, which is your telephoto lens. But this year we have an extra 2 times optical zoom. That new optical quality zoom is done by using the middle 12 megapixels of the new 48 megapixel wide angle sensor. So you're getting the benefits of that primary lens, that primary camera, which is the most capable of all of the cameras on your iPhone, and getting that 2 times optical quality zoom. It's going to be very handy, and it can be used in multiple modes across the board, including panoramas. The next top new feature is an all-new purple colorway. This new deep purple color is available on the iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 14 Pro Max, and it looks pretty great. Purple is not my color, but I think it looks really nice on the new iPhone 14 Pro. It's definitely a darker color and has almost like a purple hue to it rather than being overly bright and vivid. It's kind of a subtle look depending on the light. In most normal lighting, it's going to look kind of darker, but you get it under some very bright light and that purple will flash right through. Number 8 is satellite connectivity. This will be available later this fall in the US, and it allows you to get help when you need it most. If you are out exploring and you don't have cellular connection, you can now rely on satellite connectivity to get the help that you need. You'll point your phone toward the sky, get satellite connection, and be able to relay the information you need to emergency responders. This will go up to the satellite. Apple will ask you a series of questions first to hopefully minimize the amount of data that is transmitted so it's faster to connect to those satellites, and then it'll relay that information to emergency services on your behalf. If they take text messages, it'll go straight to those emergency services, but if it does not take text messages, it'll go to a call center, which will then relay that information by voice to the emergency services for you. I had already mentioned this when I talked about that 2 times optical zoom, but I want to talk about it in a little bit more detail, and that is Apple's new 48 megapixel wide angle camera. This is the primary camera on your phone, and despite the fact that it is 48 megapixels, you'll usually still be getting 12 megapixel photos out of your iPhone 14 Pro. That's because Apple is doing something called pixel binning, where it'll take 4 pixels and combine them together into one super mega gigantic pixel, with a lot more information that a standard pixel would be able to get. Overall, it has a much larger sensor than the iPhone 13 Pro, and based on several of my photos in the last couple of days, the low light performance is vastly improved. Not only do we have this new sensor, but we have this redesigned photonic engine that is powering all these cameras. Just overall, big upgrade to the cameras here. This 48 megapixel sensor is awesome, and you can shoot at 48 megapixels if you are enabling Apple ProRAW for photos. You can opt between 12 megapixels or 48 megapixels if you really want to capture all of that detail. Next up is a brighter display. Not only is this display a always on display, but it is significantly brighter than before. So it has a typical brightness of around 1000 nits, but when you're watching HDR content, it can peak at 1600 nits, which is as much as the Pro Display XDR, but in an iPhone. And beyond that, it also has up to 2000 nits of brightness when outdoors, and this is massively improved. When I tested this, you could easily see how much brighter the iPhone 14 Pro was than the iPhone 13 Pro. It makes it far more readable and legible in this direct sunlight. I really appreciate this new brighter display of an iPhone 14 Pro. Second to last here, we have crash detection. Apple has added a bunch of new software and hardware features and changes to enable crash detection on the iPhone 14 Pro. For example, there's a new high G-force accelerometer that is able to detect accelerations and decelerations at up to 256 Gs. It combines that data with what is gathered from the gyroscope, which can measure instant changes in direction, so if you had an impact on your front or your side or behind you. Then the barometer will chime in and it'll measure the pressure change in your car's cabin that can arise from an airbag deploying. Finally, the microphone will be listening for crash sounds. This new crash detection feature is automatically enabled whenever you are in a car, so it doesn't get triggered inadvertently just while you're doing something else or drop your phone or something like that. Then lastly, the 12th new feature, the top feature here on the iPhone 14 Pro, is Action Mode. Action Mode is enabled in the camera and allows you to run around and capture amazing footage that is ultra stabilized. This looks amazing in my testing and I'm very excited. Basically gives you the effects of a gimbal, but while shooting freehand with just your iPhone. Apple, you did a great job with this new Action Mode. So that pretty much covers it. Those are the top 12 new features of the iPhone 14 Pro. There's still more to talk about, so stay tuned, check out our full review, and I'll catch you guys in another video.